Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at three big storms that could be impacting much of the US, and we're going to start off here with the National Weather Service as we always do. We have some wind advisories over the Midwest, and then that's all associated with a low pressure system that has been bringing some gusty winds to the Midwest. That includes northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, most of Iowa, most of Minnesota, and the eastern portions of the Dakotas. Some high wind warnings in effect for parts of the higher elevations of Montana and Wyoming. Some winter storm watches in effect for parts of Colorado. And then we have some red flag warnings in effect for parts of Northwest California. And then also for Southwest California near Los Angeles, you're going to be seeing some heat advisories, and that's due to some pretty warm temperatures down there. Now we're gonna look at your European model for Storm 1, and you see how currently we have, well, actually not currently, 48 hours out, we have two blobs of precipitation, and there's one low pressure system, but they're not joined together yet. It's not quite developed yet, but you see how we have a rainy side, and then we have a snowy side. The European model has been a bit more ambitious with this, showing some heavy snowfall over the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. And then you see how it kind of joins together as you get into Thursday night. By Friday morning, the snow starts to move out. This snow most likely won't stick, and I don't think it's gonna be as much snow as the European model is showing. Definitely some snowfall, most likely, not to say the least. Now we're gonna continue as it moves up and through the central portion of the U.S. It kind of moves out and into the Ohio Valley, and then it starts to impact parts of the East Coast and the Northeast with some rainfall. Not too much snowfall, maybe some snowfall for the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Now, this snowfall most likely won't stick as you're going to have some uh, warmer temperatures on the surface, so it's not really going to stick. The surface is still pretty warm. It takes a little bit longer for the surface to cool down, so you're most likely not going to have that stick for more than 1 or 2 days. Depends on how much snowfall you actually see. Now, here's your precipitation forecast. And remember, this could also come in this form of snowfall. So, some of these areas getting the precipitation in the form of snowfall. But in that green, you have a tenth of an inch to half an inch. In those blues, half an inch to 1 inch. 1 inch to 2 inches in those yellows, 2 to 5 in the reds. In the browns, you have 5 to 7. In the whites, you're 7 to 7.5. And if you're in a purple or a pink, you're about 7.5 plus inches. So you see, over a widespread area, you're seeing around 1 to 2. Maybe some areas seeing upward of 5 inches. Some areas seeing around 7 inches, indicated by those whites over parts of northern Alabama. And we'll really have to see based on the positioning of this system. Also, a lot of rainfall over parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and then down into the south central U.S., where you could be seeing right around 3 to 5 inches, pretty much widespread over those areas. And again, some of that, especially for the panhandles, are in the form of snowfall. Now, here's our snowfall, and you're not seeing too much snowfall. You're seeing right around, anywhere in those blues, you're around 2 to 6 inches, and then if you're in the purples, you're around 6 plus inches. So you're seeing one little pocket of 6 plus inches. Again, the European model is a bit ambitious on this, and so I don't really think it's going to be 6 plus inches. I'm saying maybe 1 to 3 inches at most. In place of that 6 plus inches area, I would put 1 to 3 inches. I'm not going to go that ambitious, because I don't see the conditions really being that prime for snowfall. And even if you do get snowfall, maybe just gonna fall out of the sky, but not really gonna stick to the ground. Now we're gonna look at Storm 2 here, and you see it's right here, just this batch of snowfall over the northern Rockies. So nothing really too noticeable or too noteworthy for at the moment. But then you see that heavier bands start to form, and then it starts to form into a full-blown snowstorm over the northern plains, over parts of Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, and it even has a freezing rain line in the or icy ice precipitation line in those pinks and purples. That's all wintry mix ice, mixed precipitation, and that's all associated with this one system that would be around the plains, but this would be for Wednesday morning of next week, and your low pressure situated right around there. And you see a lot of snowfall on the backside of this, and then once you get east of this system, you're going to be seeing rainfall. So there's potentially some severe weather associated with the system as well, but definitely going to produce a lot of snowfall. Now, this snowfall could actually stick, as these areas have been in the 30s and 20s, and some areas getting up into the 40s. For low temperatures, so your ground is pretty cold. It's not too warm as it was in the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. But so this one actually could stick for a couple of days, probably not too long, as it's still fairly warm on the ground. Once you get into the winter, if this type of system were here, this could stick for around a week. Depends on the conditions, and then kind of moves out into Canada by Thursday and Friday, and then just some lingering showers and some some rainfall over parts of the Northeast. Now here's your rainfall totals, and this is the 5 day totals. So the previous 5 days, and this is about the time span of the system. So this would be around 1 to 3 inches over the east coast, and then most of this is actually in the form of snowfall. Generally it's around 10 inches of snowfall equals 1 inch of rainfall. So take that into consideration. Now here's your snowfall, and the European, again, a bit ambitious on this. I'm gonna call for around 10 inches of snowfall in this bullseye area that looks to set up here. I should actually probably do that in another color. So this bullseye area that looks to kind of set up right in here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, where you could be seeing upwards of a foot. Some areas seeing right around 2 feet. Not quite 2 feet, around 20 inches of snowfall over parts of southern Minnesota. And then you can really see that line of snowfall, that you can really see where the rainy side of this system is, and you see a big drop off. Some areas seeing 12 inches right over here in northwest Iowa, and then once you get into central Iowa, maybe nothing. So it's a big drop off in snowfall from this system. Now, storm number 3, we're going to have to use the GFS model for this because it goes out 384 hours, and the European model only goes out 240 hours, unfortunately. So it starts out, this is a separate low pressure system, and this is also a separate low pressure system. So we're not going to worry about these two systems. We're going to actually worry about this system up here in the northwest. So as we continue this, you see how it starts to move over the northern Rockies, and then it's going to kind of dip down. It didn't really dip down here. It's actually joined with another low pressure system that was already existing. So here's your low pressure system right here, and that's going to kind of move up, and you see how that wave of moisture kind of moved out into Canada. So not really a lot of snowfall associated with this system, more of rainfall, but definitely a lot of severe weather if this does pan out like the GFS model is showing. Starts to move by November 5th, Tuesday, November 5th. It starts to move into the Midwest, and a lot of thunderstorms over the Great Lakes by the evening time of November 5th. Then November 6th rolls around, and it starts to move to the East Coast, and it starts to exit the East Coast as you get right around November 8th. Now, through the entire model run, here's how much rainfall or precipitation. So this is through the entire model run. So we're gonna have to kind of it's not really, this isn't gonna be for the entire this just one system. So it's gonna kind of be the combined precipitation, but generally 1 to 2 inches of rainfall and a few inches of snowfall up in this area where you actually did get snowfall before that part of the system kind of split off. Now here's your snowfall. Again, this is the total snowfall, so not just for this system. And you see how the GFS was really not showing a lot. Some snowfall for the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma, and not a lot here over parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, South Dakota, North Dakota. So really, the European model, I don't know if we can really trust it for this winter, if it's going to keep on doing this, because the models have been quite inconsistent. So we're going to kind of have to see what actually happens to test the reliability of the European model as we go into the winter months. But you see, generally not a lot of snowfall, maybe around 3 inches of snowfall up in North Dakota, Montana, and then into the higher elevations of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, where you did actually get snowfall from this, but generally not a lot of snowfall from this system. Now that actually wraps up the video. Please consider liking the video, it really supports the channel. Also, please consider subscribing and turning on those notifications so you never miss a video that I upload. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. That was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.